Chadwick, internal audit.
Dan Moore, municipal treasurer.
Lance Wilbur, office of management and budget.
Rose Foley, Assembly Budget Analyst.
Albie Gray Jackson.
Tim Steele. Pete Peterson.
Bill Evans.
Thank you. All right, MOA financial status and an update on the 2016 budget. Whoever wants to go first, you have the floor.
Okay, so on revenues, we are going to be meeting with the top exec group next Wednesday, a week from today, and give them an update since our last monthly meeting.
Excuse me, Dan, meeting with who? I didn't get that.
The sort of the top exec group, so it'd be like the municipal manager, the
Okay.
CFO, internal audit, you know. So there's about 8 or 10 people that are invited, and we meet monthly. So our internal meeting will be next Wednesday, and then once they review it and ask the questions, we will then provide that to the assembly. I don't know if we'll make the 13th or not, but it'll be as soon as possible after that. And the actual picture for revenues is still very positive. Last month, I think I said, including building safety investments, somewhere around $4.5 million. It's still in that range. It's probably $4.5 to $5 million. Ambulance service fees have continued to come up. Unrealized gain loss, actually, we got hurt in the month of August, very volatile in the market. But that's hopefully a temporary thing. Building Safety Fund 181, they had about $500,000 of surplus revenue projected, and they've sort of come back down on that a bit. So, but we're right in that $4.5 to $5 million range for revenues for all 100 funds, and so things are positive and holding. So that's good.
Okay, I have a question. So, do you have any numbers yet from Visit Anchorage on the hotel motel tax? Because based on the president's visit, you know, that's going to be a pretty nice jump from what we've heard.
We analyzed that because he wasn't here a really long time, and we compared it sort of like when the Navy Convention is here, the Federation Navies. So it was, I want to say, like $40,000 or $50,000 of room revenue to general government. We get about a third of the total room revenue. So other the Civic Center gets a third, and then the Visit Anchorage gets a third. So it was something, but it wasn't like the convention where they're here all week long, and it's much shorter, more concentrated.
So if I can follow up, because I heard there were like 1,000 additional rooms, anywhere from $300 to $500 a piece, and so the revenue was only $40,000 to $50,000.
When you look at just general government share of it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we actually spent quite a bit of time analyzing it, so it wasn't as big as, it's something, but it's just not as big as many people thought. So.
Okay, thank you.
And overall room tax revenue, I think we budgeted or assumed about 3% growth, and I think it was 3 to 3.25, and it's up about 0.25% from what we assumed. So it's been a good year, solid year.
Okay, and I know that Julie Safi from Visit Anchorage is also working on some numbers too. So it's very good, yeah. Okay, you want to continue or are you done?
That's about it. We'll work with OMB on potential revenue adjustments for 2016 as part of the budget. So that's being finalized now. And other than that, I think the revenue side is in pretty decent shape.
Okay, any questions?
I'll say one other thing too. We are continuing to work on the tobacco, that fraud case. I got some very good news very recently that an outstanding claim that someone had on some of the seized money kind of went away. So we have a good shot at getting about $1 million before the end of this year, and that's very recent news. So cross your fingers, but it's looking better and better, and it's had all sorts of paths. We were never quite so certain, but it's getting more certain, and it's not more of a fast track. So it should be helpful.
That's good news. No questions? Okay, thank you, Lance. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
So, Office of Management Budget, we've done a lot of work with departments and administration literally in the last 8 weeks. And that's kind of when we kind of started all of this off, and compliments to the department, their budget analysts to get us in. The mayor has an opportunity to initially look at all the proposals for 15 that we asked for a 0.5%, and for 16 and a 2%. I think where we are right now, I'm cautiously optimistic, and I think that the services that we hope to present to you in our budget, the administration's budget, a week from Friday, I don't see at this stage any significant decreases. The one increase that we will be presenting to you is in the APD force. So we're looking to, and that's one of the mayor's priorities is public safety. So we're looking at ways to do that. The situation at the MLMP dividend still really hampers us. It challenges us hard. So blending those two things has been a little bit difficult. We've got some creative ideas. I think for the work session on next week, what I would like to do in talking with the mayor is it would be a conversation with the assembly, with the mayor and myself and the assembly. The mayor will do some introductory remarks. My plan would be to give you sort of a high-level overview of our total budget as it relates to our expenditures and our revenues, and then talk about the general government and specifically where the significant changes may be, plus or minus, and then work into an overview of the utilities, talk about any highlights that might be of interest to you as it relates to changes, and go into the capital budget, talk about what we're proposing in our capital budget, our capital program. And then, as time permits, we can go back to the general operating budget or the general government budget. If you have specific questions about departments or specific programs, we can spend that time at that high level, and I can capture those things. And then our plan would be just to kind of give you a general overview of the entire program. The administration would welcome additional and expect additional work sessions with the Assembly on the general government, inviting department heads if that's the wish of the Assembly members, and then working through those with the schedule. Barbara's been updating us very regularly on what it is. So we are going to be at your disposal. We're going to be able to answer the questions that you need to ask. If you expect something different on October 2nd, that would be great if we could know that. We will be delivering the budget to you at the work session. We are working on the PACE items right now to get everything loaded in, to be introduced, to load it into PACE on the 2nd for Assembly introduction on the 13th of October. So, right now, the budget for 16, the dollar number for expenditures looks very much like 15.
Okay, I have a comment before you continue, okay? And if anybody else has a comment, please let me know. But anyway, I can tell you right now, and first off, let me say thank you, okay? But we had issues with the past administration, at least some Assembly members did, quite a few as a matter of fact, with department directors not being at work sessions. And so much so that we had to do a resolution to get that to happen. And I'm hopeful that we can just simply ask this administration, have the department directors there in case somebody wants to ask them a question.
Yes, I think you can assume they will be there if the Assembly wants them there. That's kind of the way. What we would appreciate is, as we schedule those, if we can, keep a good schedule so we're keeping directors there at the time they need rather than be there for 4 hours. If we can work the schedule and honor that as best we can, and that would be great.
Right. I agree with you. Nobody wants folks to just be hanging around, but I think it's really important. I mean, in the past we had directors there, and it just made things go way more smoothly. We didn't have to wait for answers from questions because we got most of them right there during the work session. So that'll be really, really, really helpful. And also, can you, if you don't mind, or if you can at this point, provide a little more detail on the increase in public safety that's going to be in the mayor's budget?
So the mayor is asked to increase the force with an additional academy, and so with that will be included in the proposal. And with the academy, it's not only the training, but it's also the expenses of one time for police cars. So I think that will be the biggest part of the addition to the budget will be additional academy.
Okay, so what about fire?
So on fire, we're still working with fire. Right now, they have some financial challenges in my mind on how they track their expenditures, and so we're working with the chief on that. More money is one request, but I'm interested in the additional services, or if there isn't any additional services, I want to be able to understand and help you understand. They receive additional funds. Do you receive additional services to you and to the taxpayer? So I'm still working with the chief on that right now, but, and I think they have a good proposal, they just have a lot of questions.
Okay, thanks for answering my questions, and you can continue with your presentation.
So I think the last thing I just wanted to mention, maybe to reiterate your comment, Madam Chair, is the municipal manager had mentioned to many of his reports earlier this morning at a weekly staff meeting that they can expect to block their Fridays out and be available. I would just ask that if you have questions, please forward them to me. I will make the administration ahead of time so we can be prepared to help you get the answers you need in a timely fashion. So.
Okay, well, for me personally, I don't have any questions because I don't know what the budget's going to be about. We have the preliminary budget, and I think, not necessarily speaking for my colleagues, but I think that the questions will be generated once we have the whole document in front of us.
So our thoughts are on the order of the presentation. We're going to do an overview. I hope that's okay. But
No,
the
that's
order in
the way
which
to
we
do it.
Work through the work sessions that are already calendared. We're going to think about doing general government first, work through the departments, go to utilities, and do the capital at the end. That's the general plan.
And that's usually how it works.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you for that.
Okay.
Mr. Peterson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you said you're going to do an additional police academy. We were already planning on doing one, so we're going to be doing two. Is that correct?
At least two. One for attrition, one for addition.
Okay,
So
great.
We're looking to see how we might be able to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Anything else?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Any questions before we move on? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, fire sprinkler exemption. There was discussion at the last Budget Finance Committee meeting on the possibility of looking at a 10-year limitation. And I'm going from my memory, but I'm pretty sure that Ms. Domboski is the one who made that suggestion. So what I'm going to do is postpone any conversation on that until our next meeting, if it's okay with everybody else.
Is there any limitation on us doing that? Is there any reason why we could not do that?
I don't have any idea, but thank you for asking that question because I'll talk to property appraisal and ask them ahead of time so that we'll have the answer to that question at our next meeting. Property appraisal. Okay. Okay, report from the Budget Advisory Commission. Shirley Nelson advised us ahead of time that she wouldn't be here. And if I didn't mention it earlier in the meeting, Ms. Domboski would be here, but she's not feeling really well. So that's why she's not here. And Shirley's not here, and there's nobody here from the Budget Advisory Commission. So we won't have any report from them. Any other comments?
Yeah, the only thing I'd add is with respect to the sprinklers, in addition to the 10-year limitation, I think we should be looking at ensuring that we're not providing exemptions for situations in which sprinklers are required by law.
Code required.
And I don't know but I think that would be part of the...
Right, that'll be part of the conversation. Thank you for mentioning that also. And just so everybody knows, we are still going to have discussion on nonprofits and invite them to our meeting as soon as we're done with the sprinkler. Okay, sprinkler exemption suggestions. Okay, any audience participation? Anybody have anything you want to say or ask?
On the budget process with Rose now on board, do you know how that's going to work in terms of communication between Assembly and the administration? Or, is it all just direct to you guys? Or I just wondered, in terms of the flow of questions and information, is this committee sort of the one that things funnel through, or?
Well, in the past, it's been funneled through the clerk's office, but let us have some conversation offline, and we will let you know what the process is going to be, okay, ahead of time. Okay? Great. Okay, well, nothing else. Adjourned. Thanks for being here.